News Now. I'm Ed Kalegi, and this is Bloomberg. Monday, Donald Trump will be sworn in as the 47th President of the United States.
We want to try bringing everybody together.
Joe Matthew and Haley Lines bring you live coverage of the historic inauguration on a special edition of Balance of Power.
This change that we are seeing take place in America.
Peaceful transfer of powers. The presidential inauguration. Monday, starting at 11 a.m.
The 20th is going to be very, very special.
On Bloomberg 99.1 and Bloomberg Television. Context changes everything.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. Cottage cheese is nothing new, but it's finding new life as a popular go-to snack along with other protein-rich options. Bloomberg consumer reporter Dina Shanker.
So we're seeing meat sticks are blowing up, cottage cheese is blowing up, and even trends on, places like TikTok.
Can I open this window?
Became a super
thank you.
viral trend.
But the major packaged food makers missed out.
Thank you.
Shanker says that during the pandemic, stuck-at-home consumers stocked up on sweet and salty snacks. Food makers took that as a sign to gobble up other companies that made more of the same.
We saw PepsiCo tell us that Doritos could be part of our dinner. The idea that we're going to just keep eating lots and lots of snack foods never really seemed to go away.
Snacking has not gone away, it's just changed.
Those sales in snacks are happening. They are just not going to what we had for so long thought of as typical snack foods.
Shanker says the cottage cheese brand
On Sunday, when it begins, 3 hostages, and they may be dead.
Of what comes after. You mentioned the objections from the far-right ministers, but once the ceasefire is over, there's still going to be dozens of hostages remaining. So what does come next, potentially?
So, look, on the 16th day of this deal, they begin to negotiate the second phase, and in theory, it's about ending the war.
And these are checkpoints
that the far right is opposed to, and some on the not-so-far right are opposed to as well. So the likelihood of it breaking down after 6 weeks is high.
Hear the full conversation on the latest edition of the Bloomberg Daybreak U.S. Edition podcast. Subscribe on Apple, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts. Plus, listen anytime on the Bloomberg Business app.
Oh, security's very high, isn't it?
Stay connected with Bloomberg wherever you are with Bloomberg podcasts. On the Big Take Asia, South Korea has plenty of Botox, but not enough doctors. On Elon
There's a lift inside it. Is all this fencing for the inauguration?
What is it?
Is this all this fencing? Is it for the inauguration?
Yeah.
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 Powerful technology company that China has ever built.
No, we're not talking about Tencent, which this month was blacklisted by the Biden administration for alleged links to the Chinese military. Nor are we talking about Alibaba or JD.com or Meituan.
We're talking about Huawei, the privately held maker of telecom equipment that came into focus in 2018. The company's chief financial officer, Meng Wanzhou, was arrested in Canada at the request of the United States. And it's an incident that set off a diplomatic uproar and complicated relations between the United States, China, and Canada.
Calls, emails, internet traffic, and from that perspective, it's become something that policymakers have become very concerned about is this one company and its global footprint. It's far head and shoulders the dominant supplier in developing nations around the world, and even in Europe is access to an administration that member of the tech community. What are your expectations of Huawei having a strong communication line with the incoming Trump
Waldorf
administration?
Astoria.
Maybe its future changing in a more favorable way here when it comes to the United States? I think if that happens, if
The security.
this kind of rebound in the communication with the United States, that would be
Fencing and
defying
concrete
expectations. In that the incoming Trump administration, if you look at who is in Trump's team, there's a lot of security hawks, a lot of people have been
Crazy.
vocal critics of China for many years, and so I think what we can expect is for policy to be, even more stringent than it has been in recent years as far as control of technology being
Wow.
transferred to China. And from
Safest city in the world at the minute, isn't it?
it's hard to see where
Yes.
With the Belt and Road Initiative, and I'm wondering,
to do. So, part of the U.S. policy of the Biden administration has been to programs to develop new competitors, making these competitors so that countries don't have an alternative if they actually want to switch.
Yeah, I am curious, you really get into the details of the history of this company that I think most people didn't even think about until we had hundreds of the issues, right, of a few years ago. Why is it important to understand the history of this company in light of the security considerations that many global leaders are concerned about when it comes to this company?
Yeah, I think part of it is just understanding how we got to this point where the U.S. and China are so acrimonious and there's so much distrust, especially.
2018, when the CFO Meng Wanzhou was arrested in Canada and set off that unprecedented diplomatic uproar. She was held for years as this
So for years there have been these concerns in the United States and other Western countries about Huawei. But it really was that moment when the CFO was detained and at the same point the Trump administration put these sort of unprecedented sanctions on Huawei that sort of moved us to a new sort of Cold War-esque era.
In a sense, it's a big part of the story is about the shift in China over the years that Huawei has existed. Listen, you did a ton of research on this, interviews.
Could the snow still go?
research.
Serious.
You have reported from
Yes.
China, you've reported from Taiwan.
More coming tomorrow. More coming tomorrow.
Coming tomorrow, so. Yeah. Well, today's better, actually.
There's a security risk to the United States.
A security risk? I would say probably, and that's something that's outside strictly the company's control. And that what we've seen, I think the clearest evidence we've seen has come out in Edward Snowden's leaks, which is that tech companies' equipment can be used by, and is used by intelligence agencies to find backdoors or build backdoors into them, even without companies knowledge. So, in a way, it's not entirely that's part of like a new business line, these sort of simulated surveillance systems that has to do with data networks becoming fast enough that you can transmit huge amounts of data. So you can have video cameras and other sorts of sensors all across the city that are just streaming all sorts of information. There's a number of governments around the world that are using these systems from Huawei. Yeah, it's very controversial. Huawei is not the only company that supplies them. IBM was actually, the US company was actually the first company that started supplying these kinds of systems. But yeah, it's very much a debate.
Thank you.
About just how much data